Alright, now with that, we should be live. Alright, greetings and welcome. I am Joffrey, and today I'm doing a somewhat haggard setup with the lads, Eden and Nemcraft in Discord, and we're going to be watching a after action report video that a couple developers for EU5 have made. I believe one of the countries they're going to play in this video is Flanders, but I'm not actually certain. I'm just excited to see some more actual footage of the game, and well, even though the video is only 15 minutes and 45 seconds, I have a suspicion that we're going to end up dragging this on longer than that. So,
No, don't be silly.
but I do have a deadline before I need to go to work to keep me honest. So, and now it gets all pixelated. Don't do that. But with that, I shall unpause the actual. Yeah, okay. Also, I'll need to tab back into Discord for that. Alright, I'll unpause the actual video and then it'll reappear in Discord. Okay. Let's give this a try.
History is what you make of it in Europa Universalis 5. You are the ruler of your own story. As you play, you will shape the world. Through your economy, you'll manipulate markets. Through your army, you'll define new borders. And through your quill, you'll become a diplomatic hegemon.
They changed
Today,
the Papal States
Europa
color a bit.
Universalis community team will be sharing with you two such stories, taken from our time playing the development builds, and take you on a journey from 1337 to 1444. So join as I, Midgeman, and my wonderful colleague Clement take you on a journey via an
Schnaugrod's
AAR of our games as Flanders and Naples. As a reminder, all gameplay has taken place on development builds and may not be representative of final product playthroughs and the stories that you, the player, will inevitably tell in
Oh
EU5.
god.
Now
If
let's
you can make the
begin
Netherlands
with
be
my
that
story
small, I'll
in Flanders.
scream. Oh
Flanders in
no.
1337 is a nation at a crossroads of potential power. They start as a vassal of the Crown of France and could easily stay as little more than that. But they begin with their own market in Bruges and a decently sized population, as well as some access to some very valuable RGOs. Today, we're going to tap that potential and attempt to become a bastion of trade and new world potential way ahead of the historical Netherlands. Whilst
No. Okay, well okay. On one hand, yes, that's exactly why I'm excited about like Flanders and the other Low Country nations in general, but mostly Flanders because they do a lot. Apparently, they suppose they have a lot of textile industry going already. I'm scared about the New World stuff really early. That's one of the big criticisms that I have seen other people say, and I agree with, is that there's just a little it's a little too easy for people to just skip on over to the New World, and you'll have England and Spain colonizing Florida and Newfoundland way too early in huge globs.
I was gonna say, a little is a bit of an understatement.
Yeah.
Didn't we literally see people like before, like in 1400, already owned the 13 colonies?
Yes. Yes, it was like the year. It's like, oh, in 1492, Columbus sails the ocean blue, and it's like, but yeah, it wasn't that in the year 1400 they owned that much land. It was that in the year 1400 they already were there colonizing stuff, and then 1492 is when Columbus goes. But what happens in the game is that the people then end up they have already owned a ton of the coast of the New World by the year 1492, which is way too early. Now in like a alternate universe mod or some alt history, any of that sort of thing, who cares about that? That's that you're not trying to have real history then, but in real in this game, I don't feel like I'm gonna appreciate playing as the Inca and then in the year 1400 or 13 like 80 or whatever the hell it is, you just see, oh, there's the Spanish, they're here already.
To be fair, considering this, remember, this was a 1400 as England. Spain is even closer. And if they
Yeah.
immediately get like a union with Portugal, they can just use the Portuguese islands to just hop to the Caribbean, like in 1350, I guess.
Yeah, the Portuguese could do it
That's
really
gonna be
early.
fun.
The Portuguese are some of the only people I'd even be okay with going to the New World, like a bit early, and even then, I just don't think they should be allowed to do much colonization. And we've seen
See,
supposedly they ramp up the costs and time that it takes to do stuff, but they don't remove it. And for our own plans, I don't want to have a lot of restrictions on how people explore and colonizing, but that's because we aren't in the real world. We're making our own thing, and it's not there isn't this whole concept of the new world. We don't know that exists because in our own mod, everyone knows the new world exists. Everyone knows there's a place over there, and it's not like you need to rediscover it or anything. You just don't have maps of the
yeah,
place. But here,
personally, yeah, I was just gonna say personally, I'm a bit of the odd one out. I don't. I think there should be restrictions, like actual, not like
mhm.
a hard lock. You can't do it, but it should be more of a variable range. I would. How do I put this? I should be able to play a game as a new world nation and have the European nations like potentially not show up until like 1520.
Yeah, yeah,
Because like historically, right, Columbus going to the New World was very much a like it could have happened, it
it
could
was
have
a
not happened.
spur of the moment thing.
Yes. And it could be also be it could be earlier, it could be later, but I want more of a variable range. I don't want to just play every game and see that colonial nations always like happen like in the first 50 years of the game.
Yeah, I think that I like what you're describing, this almost idea of a um like a switch that like flicks in a nation's head where they kind of just decide, yes, we want to do this, and they don't always have that happen. They don't always just decide, yeah, we're gonna go to the new world. They might sometimes just decide, no, we don't really feel like doing that, and they'll take a lot longer to find it as a result. And I
The best
like, as we're
example I can
seeing
think
in
of for this. Oh, you first.
I like what we're seeing in um like what we're seeing in chat with there's lots of people saying that lots of people saying that there should be, yeah, like just hard restrictions until certain dates on being
Yeah, I
able to
wouldn't
do
say
that
hard restrictions for being able to do it. I
until
just
certain
want some kind
dates.
of
Yeah.
the way I would say it is, you know how have you ever played Third Odyssey for EU4?
No, but and now that Vector's popping into chat, yeah, he's Third Odyssey's biggest advocate. I do
The
believe.
reason why I bring that up, the reason why I bring it up is because one of the things you can do with the Byzantines is like when you're
I'm
leaving
gonna pull
is
up the stream
choose
again in a
whether or not to
second.
tell Portugal that there is a new world, and if you don't tell them, then they can just take like an extra like 50 to 100 years to actually start colonizing because they get a massive delay.
But
What I would want
yeah.
is, oh yes,
Meanwhile, like, yeah, if you tell Portugal, then they'll be able to just show up and explore as they wish. Yeah,
yes.
I've heard of that.
The
Um,
point that I'm making is I don't want it to be a like a hard lock. I want it to be okay. You know how the
should,
rent like how do I explain this? Like institutions can spawn within a like a set time, or like or events will have a mean time to happen. I want
yes,
colonization to have like a mean time to happen, where like the switches will turn on for a nation
I think
within
it
like this time
does.
frame.
I think it does. I think I remember there being something we'd heard about was that there is in fact some sort of um that there is in fact okay. No, never mind. I was just looking at some stream settings and looks like it actually was all good. Um,
Okay, that's good.
Good to
Because for
hear.
the
Love it.
player, I don't think they should be stopped. I just think it should be like excruciatingly expensive to explain why no one did it before. Because one of the big things that they had to wait for, right, was a more advanced ship technology like caravels to enable them to
mhm.
actually
Yes.
cross the ocean without just dying.
Not only just without dying, those long voyages were really tough on the previous models, previous type of ships they were working with.
Yeah. So like again, I don't think early colonization should be blocked because, for example, Norway should be able to colonize Greenland. They shouldn't just be blocked from doing it, and they should be able to potentially go to Finland. What should be
Leaked
stopping
analytics,
Norway is not
no.
some like hard, what should be stopping Norway is not some like hard restriction. It should be the fact that they are broke and can't pay for shit and have no people.
I mean, the thing is, each someone in the chat just mentioned that it could be like the malaria mechanics for Africa, where it remains uncolonizable until a certain point.
I
That wouldn't be fair, because that's not representative of how the process of colonization of the New World went.
Yes, because Portugal has been at this point in time, I think, well, not this point in time, not by 1337. Like in EU4's time, realistically, I think Portugal had colonies in Africa and they were aware of it. Um, but they just were really small. So it's like, it's something that if EU5 took place in 1444, Portugal would already own some land in Africa. but
Well, that's the thing. Yeah,
um
because one of the big reasons why no one went to look for the New World is because they were like, oh, we already have a way to get there. One of the first things Portugal did was try to find a route to India, like the reasonable way.
You say the reasonable way, but that was such a long voyage, and they knew. They just undertook it because it was the sure way. They didn't know how long it would take if they
When I
went
say
through the other side.
when I say the reasonable way, I mean the sense that, again, people at this point in time knew the world was round. They knew how big the world was, and they realized that if they went the other way, it's all ocean. There's no land there.
Yeah,
oh,
fair
oh
enough.
well, hmm. Well, what I'm talking about, Vector and Matt, for, as I'm saying, if EU5 took place in 1444, they would already have colonies in Africa. Not that not that they would in 1337. Don't that was a tangential thing. It wasn't really even worth saying, to be honest. It just confused
No,
people,
no,
it seems.
Joffrey. See, the Pope has already proclaimed in 1336 that the world belongs to Spain and Portugal. You just didn't hear it yet.
Baked in chance for the Americas to just not exist. Yeah, Columbus just dies. No one hears from him again.
No
Actually,
one
Joffrey, I have a
explores.
question for you. Do you think that if, let's say, the Dutch or some other nation to colonize colonize the 13 colonies, should there be a chance for them to be also able to form America, or is it just a British thing?
Anyone can in EU4.
No, but I'm asking, do you think that should be a thing for U5?
Well, it was in EU4, and I think it applies to EU5 as well. Yeah, I think that
Okay.
all the colonial nations should be formable by anyone that colonizes the place. Uh,
It would be extremely weird if it
oh,
didn't,
Matt,
because
for he's joking. Matt, for he's not actually saying that there should be a baked-in chance of the New World not existing. That's a joke. It would be hilarious
Actually, the New
for,
World isn't
like,
real.
if you
Scam.
if you just load up a game and like have a rule that you can toggle on or off for a chance of it. That would be very funny though. Um,
No, if the New World didn't exist, Europe would be just so screwed.
well, so there's no, yeah, okay, they actually colonized the Azores and Madeira in 14 in the early 1400s. I didn't know that. Oh. Well, in that case, I guess they probably didn't have their colonies in Africa yet. Whoopsie doozy.
Well, I'm pretty sure they went down to Africa. They just didn't go out into the ocean.
But regardless, the reasons that people didn't colonize the Americas as quick, as early, is for different reasons than why they didn't go to colonizing Africa. Africa because it's not very hospitable to people that aren't resistant to the local diseases, and the Americas
That was
because they
part
didn't
of
know the damn things existed and they
Yeah.
didn't have the tech to get there. So I think that there should be, I think that the more or less what we all seem to agree on is the notion that there should be specific reasons that a country goes looking for the New World, and they need to have certain tech to be even capable of it. So I think would probably, for me at this point, I would say is the best reason is there would be a possibility for countries that have an emphasis on trade, so they have a vested interest in trade, and they want and they have good boats, that they have reached a certain technological level for boats, so they actually have boats that would be capable of the journey, and they have an interest in trade. They would have the ability to be like, huh, I want to go and see if there's anything and any new routes we can chart across the sea. So, we are, I suppose, getting bogged down here, and it would be good
Yeah, we
to
are.
continue along because
Yeah.
that yes. But hey, I did say this would happen, so.
You know,
I have
avoiding
like
the
three
wrath
more
of
things.
England and France during the Hundred Years' War. To start off, I set my cabinet of nobles to work, encouraging
Flanders
migration to the
colonize.
capital and increasing our control
gonna do
over
it,
West
apparently.
Flanders. We're going to build an
Watch
innovative
them build a
society
giant
with
boat.
a capital economy and high education. So let's pull our peasants out of the fields a little. Also, we gave our peasants some rights, allowing them to own their own weapons.
Oh,
This is
no.
partially to
Arming
increase
the
the sale of
peasants.
weapons in my market and for
This
them
is
to
so
move
based.
freely through the country. This, however, did anger the nobles a little bit, but they'll be fine. We then called Parliament to
Bro just said, okay, well, we just kind of decided to arm the peasantry so that arms will be a more valuable good in our market, and also we just let peasants migrate freely within our country, that just angered the nobles a little bit. They were just like a little upset, like.
Hey, Joffrey. Knock, knock. Freedoms come to visit.
I do not think that you should be able to just do that. That is a wild thing for you to be able to just do. You're just like, all right, so for my build this game as Flanders, I think we're gonna just right off the bat give the peasants the ability to wield weapons, and they can migrate freely in the country. Yeah, let's just give them
No.
that, and not have
That
the
is one of
nobles
the things-
instantly just flip the table.
No,
Isn't
that is one of
Flanders
the
actually
things where-
known for that?
I don't know much about Flanders, but I was gonna say this is one of the things I do appreciate about Victoria 3, where some things like trying to abolish slavery will actually cause revolutions. You can't just pass whatever law you want.
Okay, but here's the thing. Neither of those were laws, and that's why it works here. Because
But I feel like it
Or-
should be.
I think that it should be. I think that they should do something where granting privileges to the peasantry requires a law. I think I never considered this before, but it sounds to me like this should be something where, and hey, like. Because yeah, Flanders is a place where the peasantry had more freedom. But wouldn't it be so cool if it was a case that, and maybe it is, I doubt it, but wouldn't it be interesting if it requires, like if the peasantry is in the cabinet, because that's been explained that there's different types of parliaments, and different countries, depending on what laws they have, will have the peasantry in the parliament. Maybe because if the peasantry isn't involved in the politics at all and the nobles are just in charge of them, how does it make sense for you to be able to, without affecting stability or changing any laws, just as the king, just be like, all right, they can all do this, and the nobles won't react to it in any way other than being a little more grumpy when all their peasants suddenly have weapons, and they're allowed to just leave the farm. They just aren't serfs anymore. They've just said, okay, we don't have serfdom anymore. So yeah, I
That's
agree
one
with
of
you.
the things that should 100% be a law. Just like it really should be. Like free peasants versus serfdom. That's one of the biggest struggles of nations like Russia. Imagine if they could just like give the peasants weapons.
Realistically, every noble state would have a heart attack if you did that. The king would get huge talk down to the council. Yeah, all the nobles would just be like, the fuck? What? Dude, the peasants can just do whatever they
An
want.
understatement.
Yeah. The nobles can try to flip
See
the
what-
tail, but it depends on the state. You could only be able to give privileges to estates if they're in your government. I feel like there should be difference for countries like Friesland and France. I agree that like Flanders is a place where you should be able to do this sort of thing more easily, same as Friesland. Like, for the Frisian freedom is a goddamn peasants' republic, so, obviously there. But here it's just a
That's
case
the
of
name?
yes, it's literally called the Frisian freedom.
That is so big.
That is their historic term. They
Wow.
they held on to that, and they basically made up, like the Frisians just made up a document that was like, oh look, Charlemagne gave us these privileges way back in the day because of us being brother cultures with the Franks and this and this and that and the third, and it was complete bogus, but because the Frisians were so just impossible to keep under control because they lived in the swamps and no one knew how to fight them there, so you couldn't collect taxes from them. It was like, all right, if this bogus document makes them happy, they can call themselves whatever they like as long as they pay us something. So the Peasants' Republic Frisian freedom tag just exists. Eventually it was removed, but
My second favorite historical document, right after the donations of Constantine.
I feel like there should be a difference for country. Yeah, note that allowed to possess weapons is a different thing from them actually being able to afford them. This is true. This is true. However, the player is also saying that they're making that like they've given the peasants the ability to own weaponry as a initiative to increase the value of weapons so that they will produce more of them. It's because they actually want to make a lot more weapons so that the peasants will have them. It's actually a clever technique that I've heard is a valuable thing to do early game, where if you enable your peasants to buy weapons, it will again increase the demand for weapons in your market, and as a result, even when you're not at war, your country will still have a demand for weapons in your market. So so it's actually quite valuable because then you have a reason to domestically produce them at peace. Kind of makes me think.
Is it kind of like what the Americans have in Victoria 3, where they're just pops will have like a desire to buy weapons?
Yes, Americans have a because American pops have the arms obsession. I think the Yankees, so they actively want to buy more of them, which makes it very useful because you can have a domestic arms production that is profitable, and then when war happens, you already have this profitable industry that just takes away from the needs of the pops a bit when you're at war. Yeah, they're intentionally speedrunning the historical weakening of the nobility by strengthening the lower classes. Now state centralized. Mind trick the peasants to create a demand for your products, genius. As an American, I confirm we have a desire to acquire weapons. Yes. so, the other thing from a modding perspective that this made me think of, I just kind of so it's a case of like, okay, you think about this law, arming the peasantry law, so it's like enable the peasants to have weapons. And I'm imagining there could be a similar thing for magic, because we're planning on having an Armod, the codified magical studies law, which is like people are writing down magic books. Meanwhile, before that, it's not really any books being written. It's just people going out into the woods to study under the creepy hag that lives in the third cave on their left, past the Tickleberry Brook, that sort of thing. So maybe we could do something where if you have the codified magic law, then or institution rather, there would be the ability for you to like grant a privilege to the peasants that's just like, all right, all the peasants are allowed to have magic. Any of you can buy books.
As you were talking about that, we immediately got both Vector and Asriel there on the chat mentioning the example of Frederick the Great with potatoes.
Making the Germans
which is very
have
fitting.
potatoes. What? I don't know about this. What is this?
So they wanted, Frederick the Great wanted to import a food that would be cheap, easy to produce, and very filling for the people, And he found all of those qualities in the potato. Very humble vegetable.
Okay.
So he tried to get it on the country, importing vast amounts of it and offering up to the people. But no one wanted to eat it because it looked weird, It just didn't seem right. Now, the way he got around it was that he had a personal garden where he grew nothing but potatoes, and he had guards coming at some points during the day, do a little round, and then they would just disappear after a while. The idea was that if they saw that the king was growing these vegetables, people would try to sneak by at certain points and steal them. And they did. And that's how the vegetable began to actually be popular in Germany. They said, oh, the king eats this. And they're cheap. They're really good. You should eat them too. And
That's
they
amazing.
loved it. After a while, they loved it. He made it popular by making it seem as if they were a prestige good, when in reality they were super cheap.
I mean, they're great though. Potatoes are great. He had the right idea. Very smart guy, Ben. I knew Frederick the Great was pretty cool, but I didn't know about this. That's awesome. That's a great anecdote.
Beautiful.
Also true. The potato roots will still survive even if war rages through the fields. Some of them will be fine at least. Those things are dangerous. Have you seen the
TikTok logic, so
memes? Have you seen my girlfriend keeps showing me this particular meme of potatoes. It's like most plants or most vegetables and fruits, you take them out of water, and it's like you got to keep them frozen. Make sure, because they'll start rotting and they'll go bad really quickly if you get one as soon as they're picked. And then it's just a picture of a potato, and it's like all crunchified, the image to look like it's a bit crunched audio kind of thing,
I
and it's
think
just like
someone's posted an image like that in the meme channel.
I think
I think I've seen that kind of meme.
soil. Yeah. Where's the fucking soil? And it's just potato like shoots going in every direction.
Yeah. Someone's already posted that in the meme channel, 100%.
I think
Yeah, they
that
did.
was her at least. Uh,
But again, here's the
that's-
thing. We were talking about what would happen if there was no new world. People
Oh,
don't,
yeah.
I guess, don't really think about just how important crops like potatoes were. Because could you imagine being in like the Flanders and not colonizing and then running out of food for your pops? Potatoes are just so much easier to grow.
I don't know how they're gonna handle the different kinds of crops and pops needing them, or like how easy it is to produce them and stuff. Honestly, got no
Well, from what I
clue.
remember, from what I remember, the way it works is that each like food will satisfy like a certain amount of hunger. And so like if the pops will demand like X amount of food, either like 10 potatoes or like 20 wheat, or like different things will you need different amounts to satisfy the same hunger is the idea.
I guess.
It's like the combination of that and the fact that you can grow like more of a crop of a different crop than a different more of one crop than a different one.
But let's move on from discussing
Yeah, let's do
getting
that. Go ahead.
potatoes. Otherwise, we're never going to get this done. I will need to go to work eventually.
To increase our centralization, and we funded farming estates. Moving on to 1342,
Good,
the
Age of
Renaissance
Renaissance.
arrived and we focused on the admin.
No.
Also defending against
Not the
England
admin.
in the 100 Years' War. Many
Based-
peasants are dying, and England does beat the French army and
Oh.
my forces separately. They divided and conquered here. This
England
goes on for 4
won?
years, landing us in 1346. When the war with England ends, France losing. But more worryingly
Interesting,
than
right?
that, a black spectre forms over the world, and the Black Death begins
Oh no.
in Dergachi.
That's
By
crazy.
1349, the Black Death has killed 249,000 members of my population, and then 1 year later, France has exploded into turmoil with
Flanders.
rebellion.
Oh,
Oh,
Elsewhere
the
in world,
Jacquerie.
Oh, that is
by
beautiful.
1352,
I remember the Jacquerie. They showed that in a dev diary.
But what?
The
exploded into turmoil.
the France dev diary. I don't think I ever covered it properly, but there was the French nobles. I think it's the nobles. Damn it, who is it that the Jacquerie is? I don't remember who it is. But the French have a big like revolt that is looming on the horizon, where they need to try and keep, I forget which class it is of their population, but as you can see, that's a good half of the French territory that just revolts there. Jeez. And England won, but they didn't take a whole lot of land. I'm kind of surprised they didn't swipe Brittany or something.
Yeah, well,
Taking
as good as
Picardy.
England wins historically.
for a while.
Jacquerie are peasants? Ah, yes. Yeah. Well,
Peace, peasant rebellion.
maybe they
I would
lose to the
assume-
peasants?
Are they named after a guy called Jacques?
No.
know? Couldn't be. No possible.
with rebellion. Elsewhere in the world, by 1352, Hungary has also exploded into turmoil. 2
Hungarian
years further
peasants.
than that, 1354,
My favorite tax.
England exploded into turmoil.
This is just Vic 3 gameplay. You look at every country, it's like, American proletariat revolt in the north,
England's
and then
aristocratic rebellion.
yeah,
Radical Denmark.
Radical Denmark. Yes, we did see that in the MP.
Maybe there's a bit too many rebellions.
all my
I don't know.
homies, all my homies, excited for What is it called when it's a military revolt? East India Company. I don't remember what a military is called when they revolt.
Neither do
But
I.
alright,
Yeah.
springtime of the
See,
people, 500 years early. Junta. Well, Junta is the name of the tag. Whatever. But yeah, this is just reminding me very
I mean,
much of Vic 3. I love it.
Nem did raise a valid point. That's so. How many years are they in the game? Like 15, and they're already like 2 revolts. In
Everyone's
3 years
exploding.
max?
Yeah.
Yeah, 3 with the Chakri, yeah.
Imagine like okay, because you're allowed to swap a side into a different side when there's a civil war. So like if the English nobles rise up, can you just like or like the English peasants revolt, like the Jacquerie happens, can I just swap to the Jacquerie and then make France into a peasant republic in the year 1345?
From
That would
what
be
they
so based.
said, no, from what they said about civil wars, I do remember this bit. Whichever side wins, they become the main tag. They don't
Mhm.
form a new tag.
Yeah.
But
Which
yeah,
is a
you
big
can just become France
yeah,
as a peasant republic.
just piss off the peasants a lot. And then see like give the peasants weapons and then piss them off so that they revolt. A man has revolted
Ooh,
in Lego City. What a great
right.
statement, Eric. A man has revolted in Lego City.
You play as the novel England tag. That would be such a good name. They just prefix noble.
No.
So beautiful.
No. You see, Eden is the English Confederation.
The Commonwealth.
Yeah, that's Peasant Republic. Peasant Peasant Republic England is like the free the free people's confederation of English farmers. Yeah.
Oh,
Glorious.
God.
Cromwell, never heard of him.
Cromwell was a traitor to the revolution. But also, let's
And
continue.
the Black Death ended. In 1357, I turned my attention to my union. As the Count of Flanders holds multiple territory at game start, I thought it
Nevers
wise to
and
begin
Rethel. Oh.
integrating some of those. So I started by voting for an established seniority. In 1358, we finally embraced the standing armies and banking
Ooh.
institutions and worked towards starting a weapons industry.
Yes.
My plan here was to try and become an advanced but small army.
Ooh, that looks beautiful.
Look at motherfuckers' hand cannon. They gave them an actual proper hand cannon model. Look at that thing.
That is so cool. I love the hand cannon.
See, Joffrey, you're looking at the hand cannon. I'm looking at the people and realizing that he must have such high professionalism because they all look very similar.
You're right. He probably does actually have some decent professionalism because it's 50% of those guys have the same outfit.
Yeah, like like Eric pointed in the chat. Forget the models of the army. Look at the city. It does look really pretty.
Well,
That looks really.
Also, yeah, that this is something I like. I really love Victoria cities, sure. This game also because like they've shown us that like all the buildings will change like depending on their culture too. So if you have a city has a very diverse cultural makeup, it will actually like all the buildings will look very different too, and you can see all the different structures underneath the color because they make they make the castle stand out, and even as you zoom out, the castle still gets shown, and it will follow you and scale in size to make sure that you know the castle's there. But that as you zoom out more or you change your map mode, the less important visual elements will disappear, which is very nice. But I also really do appreciate one of the things I've said before. We can't really see it here because all of these images are all these buildings they're overwritten in blue. But I believe the first time that we were seeing gameplay footage, a lot of the buildings are kind of color coded to show the estate they belong to. So like the roofs will change color so that like military buildings will be red because that shows they're used by the soldier pops, that sort of thing, which is
That
really
does
helpful.
seem right. But
That's
Joffrey,
incredible.
I was gonna ask something. What culture is Flanders? Do we know?
What culture is Flanders? Flemish.
So I guess the reason why I'm asking is, can Flemish culture form the Netherlands? Because he said he was going to form the Netherlands.
Well, they showed a picture, so yeah. It is a Low Countries
I wasn't
culture. Yeah.
okay. I
Same
just
as
wasn't sure if he was
Wallonian.
Flemish or culture converted to Dutch later. That's why I was
Because
curious. Okay.
actually, now that you say that, that's a good point. Because he probably isn't Flemish at game start. He's probably that Low Franconian culture we saw. Because at game start, the Low Countries are all this culture called Low Franconian, which theoretically splits up. But even like Wallonian for is a Low Countries culture. It would just have it would just have multiple cultural heritages applied to it, so they'd have French and then also Low Countries or whatever they call that.
French Netherlands. Oh God.
I mean, France does own like France has Flanders vassalized at game start, so it is. Yeah. Yeah, I can't wait for big pollution. Wow.
The
It's
fires
okay.
of
The
industry.
blunt, the hand cannon, you just need to load it up with a bunch of rocks. Then it'll hit someone eventually if you shoot all the rocks out of it.
One that wouldn't harm my population, but might help us get independence in the future. 1362, the second phase of the 100 Years' War began, and I decided to turn turncoat and white peace so that England didn't take any of my lands through a unique
Probably a good
betrayal
idea.
mechanic. By 1364, we had unlocked gunsmithing. It's time to stoke the fires and craft an industry
By
of...
when? 1364. Okay.
Or we had unlocked gunsmithing.
Huh.
It's time to stoke the fires and craft an industry of war. 10 years later, it's 1374. The industry is fired up, but England has declared war on France yet again. This time we decided to raise our troops, and our air rode into battle. France did lose, but we retained our land, and caused a lot of casualties along the way. 1379, England's back like a bad smell, and I, as an Englishman, now see how the French felt during this period. 1384, peace finally came again, and we unlocked armories, which is important for us to be able to build a standing
That's one of
army
the things that
rather
gives you
than
lots of manpower, I
relying
think.
on a peasant levy all the time. 1396 and the 100 Years' War is still continuing, but it begins to go favorably as we grow in this phase. Thanks to our contributions, France rewards us with some Picard land. We have one of the most advanced militaries in the region, with cannon and...
Like 1400? Damn, that's quick.
In the year 1400, Bro has an army that is entirely consisting of cannons and hand cannons. What?
They all look the same.
And they're all the same too. You're right. These are all professional troops with hand cannons. And they all look the same, so they have good discipline. What? In the year 1400s? Oh, okay,
The
okay.
Ottomans wish they could be Flanders.
Jadal. They joined okay, they did not join the English. They betrayed the French and did not join in a war so that they wouldn't lose land. But they didn't stop being French vassals. They didn't swap to the other side. And then the war after that, they stayed and fought on the French side. But even though France lost, the Flemish managed to keep the English out of their own territory, so it wasn't conquered.
Yeah, they just basically kept buying for time until they were able to beat the British or English eventually. The one thing I'm confused about is, how is this 100 Years' War thing supposed to work? Because they keep fighting the French, and they only take like one county or a second county or a third. Like,
Yeah, they're
how
not
exactly are
taking
you
a
supposed
lot.
to enforce the personal union? That's the part I keep getting confused on. How do you win this?
Yeah, I figured that. Well, I guess it's because they've never been winning by enough for them to press the button. They're winning the war, and then they decide, all right, we're taking too many losses from this. Let's peace and yoink some land. Never winning by enough to be like, all right, let's enforce our claim on your throne.
I don't know. I guess that's historical. But it just feels a bit weird to me that they never actually like try to get the war goal.
Yeah, yeah. As William is saying, yeah, the right to bear arms. Every man is allowed to own his own hand cannon in Flanders. Yeah. Also, it's the AI. Yeah, this is true.
For one, Nem, war goals, speaking from a completely historical point, which I don't know if it's what you were addressing. They weren't really a thing. Like, sure, you declare a war for a claim that you might have thanks to an ancestor or whatever, but you wouldn't just go immediately lay waste to that piece of land that you were seeking to claim. You would defeat them at their own home, not the place you want to conquer.
See, yeah, what I'm saying is, from both like a game and lore standpoint, the whole point of the Hundred Years' War, right, is France wants to keep their dynasty on the throne. England's trying to enforce their dynasty's claim. It's like a personal union. What I mean, oh,
Yes.
sorry.
Yes, but through most of the Hundred Years' War, it was just pushing territory back and forth. They didn't act. There was never any point where someone, forcibly usurped the throne because no one could win by enough. So historically, it never actually happened,
Yeah.
and it was more accurate. It was more like this.
Well,
It's just
well,
that
there was the Treaty of Troy, wasn't it? Troyes, sorry, pardon my French. Was it after Agincourt? The one moment where the English might have actually clutched it,
yeah.
and everyone died.
From what I
of
remember, the
sickness.
point where they were like the closest to clutching was at the start of the war, because they had like almost sieged Paris.
Alright,
But then, like, even if they took,
let's
yeah,
continue along though.
Of course. That was another
Gunpowder.
tangent.
By
Sorry.
1399, France goes to war with the Pope and is led by a regent. It's the turn of a new century in
Attacking the
1404 as we hit phase 4 of the Hundred Years'
Beautiful.
War with a York on the throne.
Not
We
Actually,
discuss
York
no,
is
no.
England.
universities as we continue to grow our
Actually, the Pope
education.
makes sense,
Economically in
because
this
France has an antidote
playthrough,
at the start
I
of the game.
decided to focus on building scriptoriums and a vast paper-making industry,
Oh,
which
boy.
not only do we use
All
to
the
fuel
paper.
our advances, but we've begun supplying
You gotta.
paper all across the world. Yet again, we decided to leave as a turncoat in this phase of the war and focused on educating our people. By 1408, our master plan
Education
had
for the
begun.
people.
We had begun crafting an independence war CB, and we have a new duke ready for war. In 1409, England goes to war with France again, and by 1410, we begin a war of independence, gaining our freedom from France. But we didn't stop there. 8 years later, we've just finished a war with Brabant, taking huge swaths of the Low Countries.
Whoa.
With 2 more provinces, we'll be able to
Yoinkies.
form the Netherlands. But
Damn.
we sit
Chunky
on a
Flanders.
high level of antagonism. So for now, we're going to mind our economy for a couple of years. It's 1434. We've been sitting on our hands, but
That was
our
the
economy
control. That must be development, not control. Yeah.
for a couple of years. It's 1434. We've been sitting on our hands, but we've now used our parliament to gain a claim on South Holland. And by 1435,
Not the Parliament
we're at
claims
war with
again.
Holland. In the very next year, one of our previous dukes is canonized by the Catholic Church, and by 1437, an age of discovery is upon us. We Catholic Church, and by
1447.
1437,
37.
1437, they discovered the New
That's-
World.
That's even like 30 years earlier than you can in EU4.
That's 60 years early.
Oh, yeah, it was 92, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I'd like to point out, remember Joffrey last time when this fired, they had already colonized a bit. This doesn't fire when you discover the New World.
Yeah.
So it could be even earlier.
Yeah, Age of Discovery in 1437. I don't know what specifically causes it. This is weird. But what does he say about it?
an age of discovery is upon us. We take another
Okay, it
administrative
doesn't specifically
focus. We
explain
get
why
a
it
new
happened.
duke once again, and we
It's
get
still
to
admin.
build
Again.
an
He's admin, man.
institution for the new
Jesus.
world. And to celebrate, we deem ourselves a new nation, the nation of the Netherlands. By 1438,
Still
we
a
gain
duchy.
another institution, gaining 2 from this age. Our advanced literacy making us the home of the printing press. In 1439, we decided to change our government to a Dutch parliament, getting rid of the clerics
Burghers in
and giving
parliament.
more control to the burghers. And by 1440, we've embraced all the institutions of the age, leaving us ready for a
Sheesh.
new horizon.
And then already
1444.
1444. Bro, over the course of less than 10 years, the age starts, and within less than 10 years, he has every institution for the age and is ready
No,
to
no, that
go
was the previous
colonize
one,
the New
Joffrey.
World.
He had gotten all the institutions from Renaissance by that point, not from New World.
No, he got all of the institutions from the Renaissance really early into the game. This is him talking about getting all the institutions for the Age of Exploration, like the New World institution.
One of those. Okay.
The sound's broken? What's broken? Testing. Hello. Try talking, guys.
They mean that the game mechanic sounds broken.
Oh, I'm dumb.
I'm
This
fairly certain
sounds
that's what they
broken.
meant.
Oops. I'm so smart.
Wait, Ian, don't you love the country of Naples?
I love Naples. My
I'm not
favorite
dumb.
country.
I'm not dumb. I was smart. Nemcraft's wrong. Yeah.
Wow, I see how it is.
Mm-hmm. But I guess this one they talk about Naples.
What? No.
So,
How could you guess that?
Just a hint. I think it's Napoleon, actually.
It might be. It might
No,
be.
The county of
These are
Nappy.
all separate games, right? They're not all in the same lobby.
Correct, Sam Lund. It's actually the famed county of Nappy. It's where would it be? It's where would I don't know. I'm off my game. Napalm, yes. Right.
It is Napoleon. Secret March of the Eagles 3 reveal.
Sorry,
Hey,
you're
hello
wrong, Ian.
everyone, it's Clem. It's my turn to introduce you to my game with Naples.
Oh no, it's a
today.
French.
The game ran from 1337 to
Clément
1444, and Naples began the game at the edge of the Holy Roman Empire and in the middle of the Mediterranean Sea,
God.
which makes it
Oh,
a
that his
really
pronunciation is
fun
beautiful, I
place
love it.
to have a lot of different gameplays potential. You can either go full diplomatic with every country that are around you. You can go full
I just
trade
love that the
because
Pope
you're
owns Benevento
perfectly in the
still.
middle of the Eastern and Western Mediterranean, or you can go full military and go for a conquest of Italy. Naples begin in
I wanna know
union
if they can
with
form
Provence,
Sicily.
Prato, and Mondovì. But should the king Robert d'Anjou dies, the union would end because he has no male heir. So the first events of the game will revolve around the possibility of his daughter to ascend the throne once the king dies. But we're not there yet,
She's got quite
and
the
the first move are
cleft
to
lip
improve
there.
the control around Salerno and stabilize the country, while I set up some reforms around the agricultural cultivation, because there is a huge lack of food at the beginning of the game
Oh,
on the
food
Italian
map mode,
peninsula.
I like
so
that.
obviously my first objective will be around fixing this issue of the lack of food. That's why the first constructions are the development of the wheat RGOs to produce the most
enough.
food possible. As soon as we start the game, there is two events. The first is the start of the situation of the Guelphs and Ghibellines.
Yes, the
Naples
Guelphs.
is obviously the leader of the Guelphs, as it is the most powerful country in the faction. And the second event is the will of the King Robert the Wise. This event is making possible his daughter to ascend the throne once he's dead. As it is a historical decision, we're gonna follow up on that. 1 year later, in 1338, we obtain a claimed throne casus belli on Sicily.
Why?
So why not immediately
What?
declare war on them? We live in
How'd he do it though? How'd he gain the claim throne CB on Sicily?
Huh.
Wait, Joffrey, isn't the claim throne? Didn't he get it because he said he wouldn't give up the claim?
I thought he said he wouldn't give up Naples.
decision, daughter, to ascend the throne once he's dead. As it is a historical decision, we're gonna follow up on that. 1 year later, in 1338, we obtain a claimed
Oh, no.
throne casus belli on Sicily. So why not immediately declare
just
war on them?
happens.
We levy the army.
I guess
we
you
have
just got it. Never mind.
33,000 men. Sicily is allied to
What a
Ascoli at the
haggard
north,
army.
so I send one of my armies to siege Ascoli while the other is tasked to secure the south of the kingdom. But in the middle of the war, our king decides to die. setting up a regency for Giovanna d'Angio that will last until 1344. In the meantime, the first battle happened at Cassano Aligno, which chose to be the defender with a rather even force of the Sicilian army. End up losing this battle and falling back tactically. They will go forth and siege Salerno. This is at this moment that we will go around this army and take back everything that they controlled, so we can cut the supply line and make them starve at the bottom of our walls. This is where, in 1339, we will strike and defeat the big Sicilian army. Then,
He
after
says
turning
big
this
when
part
his
of the
army is
war,
3
we can
times the
finally
size.
set foot on Sicily and begin the siege of Messina. After that, there is no more resistance from the Sicilian, but as we are under a regency, we cannot enforce the casus belli of the claimed throne. So we have to wait up until 1344 to finally make peace with the Sicilian and get them into the fold. A few years
1344.
later, in 1346, the Black Death
But he
appears.
got that
but
PU
yet nowhere
before-
to be seen on the map.
before the
This is
Black
at this
Death,
time that we
jeez.
set the first step for the integration of the unions. And in 1349, the Black Death is still concentrated in the steppes and avoids Europe. But it was too good to be true, and it finally appears in the port of Sant'Arcangelo. The Black Death is finally here, but it won't last for too long and only ravage Europe for a few years before disappearing. After that, we...
That's one thing. The more I hear, the more I hear about the way that the Black Death works and how people always just like, oh yeah, they'll, it only lasts a few years, and people are always saying like, you build your hospitals and your sick tents, and then your country's way stronger than everyone else, and it ends up being the case that the Black Death just makes you stronger than everyone else because the AI just doesn't prepare as much as the player can very easily, and it's like, oh, I'm curious of ways that when it comes to making our own mod that we'll be able to make our own super Black Death. Not quite so easy to come out of as a functioning country. But it's also going to take longer because we're not going to have it happen at like so early in the game either. It's going to take like 15 years. So I don't know.
No, that's the thing though. Considering how early the Black Death spawns, the fact that people are still preparing for it, that's crazy to me. Like to a noticeable degree.
Yeah, it is very easy for a player to prepare for it and become a lot stronger as a result of it. And it doesn't take that long for players to bounce back from it. So that's part of why I intend for our Black Death equivalent to be something that like, because the thing is, you'll have more time to prepare for it, but I also want it to really fuck you up no matter what. I'm just not sure how to make it something where you can still feel like you're doing okay as a result of it. I don't mind the idea of you being able to come out stronger than other people if you manage to weather the storm, quote unquote, but I also want it to be a case of you genuinely have to consider, is it worth me preparing for this? And are only certain countries will even be able to. Like, it'd be a significant investment. Like the kind of thing where you would need to research something to help with it that you might not otherwise want to research, that sort of thing.
So, Joffrey, I have a question. Do you know if in this game, text or events, the outcomes can be locked behind text? Like when you click an event, can there be hidden options?
Don't know, but that's a good point. Interesting question.
That's how I would do it at least. You have like, oh, there's nothing we can do. But if you've researched certain things, that allows you to actually click the positive events.
The thing for our Black Death is that it's going to be it's a curse, not a plague of sickness, and people don't know. So it's going to be something that having a strong priestly cast is what's required. And magic could help with it. So if you're a magic focused country, you could weather it better as well, but it's something that the core of it is going to be having priests use their sacred abilities to help reduce it. That's been the thought in my head at least, but maybe it might be better to make it fully just a magical thing that you fix, so you need to lean into magic to deal with it more. I don't know.
Let's see, I guess. Maybe it's one of the other people, if there's any more nations, they might go over the Black Death again.
Make a little jump to 1361, where we were dragged in a war
1361.
against Mamluk by the Pope, strangely, to recover Mamluk territories in the middle of Provence. This war dragged for 5 years, 5
What?
years of dull fights in Provence. In the end, the sheer numbers of the Mamluk prevailed, and they forced the Pope to renounce his alliance with us. That's what we decided to settle a little bit. That's now 1366. The first war were
I
mostly
think the
successful.
Mamluks
We
is
have
one of
no
the strongest
direct
countries
enemy,
in the
so we can
game.
focus on economy.
Yes.
Our plan will be to become the first weapons, guns, and cannon provider for the central Mediterranean and the
That's what
Italian
everyone wants to
peninsula.
do, I
But
guess. Everyone
we
just
only
wants to be
have
the big
one
weapons
iron mine,
manufacturer.
so we'll fuel every single ducats we have into this iron mine, into our lumber production, and into the infrastructure all
Back to the Mamluks having land in Provence. Did they actually own that land, though?
Yes, they did, Joffrey. They actually owned the land.
They were
Oh
a
god, they
patchwork.
did.
thing.
How did... What?
No one knows how they got it. They just got it.
These
This
things
war
happen.
CK3
and
behavior.
his alliance with us. So we are mostly successful. We have no direct enemy, so we can focus on economy.
I'm not
Our
gonna have
plan
much
will be to
time
become
left
the
before I
first
need to
weapons,
leave.
guns, and cannon provider for the
So we're gonna have to
central Mediterranean and the Italian peninsula.
pause
But
as much for the rest
we
of
only
this.
have one iron mine, so we'll fuel
Well, France
every
lost because the
single
Mamluks
ducats
are
we
OP.
have into this
Mamluks
iron
are
mine,
busted.
into our lumber production, and into the infrastructure all around it. A few years later, we can finally construct a gun and cannons factory at the tip of the Italian boot. Following our marriages, it happens that our ruler's husband ascended on the throne of Serbia, making us
God.
a solid allies for the years to come. But our heir is still
ruler's
not in
husband
the
is the
inheritance
king of
line of Serbia.
step
Maybe
of
we'll have to wait
Serbia.
a few generations. On the side of the
no.
weapon production, we'll also develop the saffron production, as it is a
Get a
really
PU Serbia
valuable
real
luxury
quick.
good. In 1373, we look a little bit around us, and we see that France fell into a civil war with a great Jacquerie. A few years later, it is the turn of the Byzantine Empire to fall to a pretender.
Oh,
Beast alert.
Peasant
Um,
Empire. What?
Nem, I don't think you understand. I think the Ottomans just sweep in after this one.
No, this is the beast alert. Ottomans are screwed.
This is how Byzantium can still win.
What if Rome was
If the
communist?
peasants
The
were in
peasant
charge,
empire.
they would have won.
It's a Basilius too, which is funny. They still have the Basilius of the peasant empire. What on earth would happen if they win?
That ended up forming the Byzantine Peasants Empire. Almost at the same time, we ultimately a claim on the throne of Croatia. So we obviously go for it, and we grab it in 1382. In
All these claims
1390,
on
finally,
wars,
the
jeez.
Guelphs have triumphed. So every country in Italy will now leave the Holy Roman Empire
Okay.
that had, strangely, no more emperor. Maybe was it because all the members, all the electors couldn't vote for the same emperor? Back on the Italian peninsula, the Pope decided to excommunicate us. So we grab the first casus belli that comes around and declare war on the Papal States. Against all odds, because he has a lot of allies,
That's the Pope.
we rush into war. They can raise a lot of levies, but now that we have guns, we can raise
Upgrade
more
army
than
button.
1,000 professional troops.
Footband
That
and
usually are not much
gunners.
for the levies. The first battle against Florence shows the difference between an only levies army and another with a professional corps. In the middle of the war, the final step of the unification
Start
policy is
annexation.
ratified, and we can now start integrating Sicily, which was
Okay.
not dragged into the war with us. We are 5 years into the war now. It dragged for a little bit longer than expected because of a back and forth, but we finally managed to breach the fortification of the Papal States and ended up claiming Benevento, Campania, and asking for the dismantling of the Rome fortress. At the turn of the century, the weapon
Oh, so
industry
you
is
can,
really
yeah.
paying off, as creating handgunners and cannon regiments is very cheap compared to
demobilize
other
your
countries. In 1422,
And their men at arms are more expensive to recruit than handgunners because he's making so many guns. I like that. That's very cool. And I also like that he's like when making the peace deal, he takes Benevento, a bordering province, and then dismantles the fortifications in Rome, because that is a realistic thing that happened a lot, is dismantling your rival's border fortifications.
That is very cool.
That's we're almost done. And yeah, I do really like the unit artwork.
And cannon regiment is very cheap compared to other countries. In 1422, with the annexation of new
Neapolitan
territories, a
nobles.
civil war starts with some nobles discontent with their new leader.
Alright.
They surrendered 10 days
Oh,
later.
10
Now that we are in
days
the middle
later.
of the 15th century, we have a solid economy, a strong standing army, so it's time to turn to culture. We start constructing every single cultural building,
Crazy standing
especially
army. Just
theaters
knights and
art
handguns.
schools. It is time to show the world what creations Italy is capable of. 2 years later,
So
we
hard.
reach
Yeah.
2,700 professional soldiers, and they are ready to go against the papal state. What creations Italy is capable of. 2 years later, we reach
2 years.
2,700
2,700 professional soldiers.
professional soldiers, and they are ready to go against the papal state
Oh.
once again. This time, the war should be shorter, as we have a line of forts ready in the mountain. It doesn't miss, Rome quickly falls. But their capital is now in Avignon, so we'd have to go deep into the papal state and Florence to end the war. Hopefully, our great amount of cannons give us a
This
lot
game
of siege
seems like
points.
it's gonna be
A few
so
years
easy,
later, the war
honestly,
is
when
once
if
again
you
a great
industrialize like
success. We grab Spoleto, Velletri, and the Rome region. It's 1437 now, and the age of discovery starts. So obviously,
Again,
we pick the
looks like
military
it's
focus
37.
to
Yeah.
be ready for the
Are you
Italian
sure they're not
wars,
playing
and
in
we
the same
finally
game?
annex Sicily
I don't
in
think so,
1439, allowing us to form the kingdom
That would
of
be
the two
very
Sicilies.
weird.
The last event of the
We
game
did it!
Two
is
Sicilies
our
already?
faithful allies, launching a war against the Byzantine Empire, or at
Kingdom
least
of the
its
Two
remnants.
Sicilies.
And
That's very
obviously,
pretty.
we go forth and support this war.
And he's still
to
got all
maybe
his vassals
grab a
in Greece.
foothold in Greece. Now that we have a solid economy, a strong army, and a strong culture, maybe establishing this foothold will be our first way to avoid the danger of an Ottoman Empire.
Just don't let the Ottomans rise. Yeah, subjugate
Two stories.
the,
Two journeys from
the peasant empire.
1337 to 1444.
Wait, he became the Netherlands?
Two journeys that have manipulated the
did not
world
see that
and
earlier?
shaped the future of a nation. But these are just
Oh,
two
he
stories
mentioned
in
it.
the sea of tales.
Don't worry about
You
it.
can tell.
Kingdom of
Who will
Netherlands,
be
no!
Universalis V?
Okay,
Who will
that
you
is
conquer
based.
first?
That is
will you
based.
become an
No,
economic
Eden. The
powerhouse?
King of the
Or will
Netherlands
your
doesn't even
dynasty
own, like,
rise
top
to
part of the
dominate
Netherlands.
the world? The choice
That's what
is
surprised me.
yours, and the
I thought
story
you
will be
mentioned it.
yours to tell. As long as you
But I guess I
remember
didn't
to
team
be
cricket.
ambitious. Wish list.
Huh. He
Oh,
has the important bits. Don't worry about it, man. Everybody knows that all you need for the Netherlands is Belgium, really.
Hey, Eden, tell me which part of the Netherlands is still considered the Netherlands today?
I want to play the fifth.
you want to play the what?
I want to plead the fifth.
Oh, plead the
You know,
fifth.
I want to play the fifth. The fifth game in the European University Series,
The
where you
fifth-
can form the
Oh,
Netherlands.
you're
with
right.
Belgium.
Yeah.
Yeah, Belgium. No. They own all the land of Belgium, but they can't form Belgium.
Sorry, Belgium's not a real country. It's not allowed to be a formal thing.
I'll kill you.
Okay, girlfriend is threatening to kill me because I haven't ended the stream yet.
No, my family's from Belgium.
Oh, okay, it's because they're from Belgium. I thought you always said they're French, but I guess
Where do you think my last
I
name
guess
is?
that's because yeah because they're from France. Belgium's not real. It's just French. People with tulips.
Hey,
I'll hurt you.
Eden, what's this Belgium I keep hearing
Flanders,
about?
I'll
Don't they
take it,
mean
so.
Flanders, Wallonia?
Yeah, I think they means like Wallonia and
Yeah,
Flanders.
I'll take it,
Yeah,
say.
the good regions. Picardy, maybe.
I wanted to. I could. It's your word against
No.
mine.
At the end of the day, isn't it
Yeah.
all Greater Luxembourg?
I would support
Honestly,
Greater
so right.
Luxembourg. I remember we talked about who people's favorite Holy Roman Empire dynasties are. I said I'm a Luxembourg enjoyer, and then everyone just
You did,
patted
you
me on the
did that.
shoulder saying I'm sorry
Oh.
for you. That's rough, buddy.
To be fair, I said I was an auto enjoyer, and no one liked that.
Wait, you mean the Ottonian dynasty? Yeah, you're right. I mean, that's based. Who would disagree with that?
I don't remember. It's been a while.
It's all Frisian
Yeah,
freedom,
that's-
always has been.
Yeah.
But oh yeah, the Byzantine peasant empire. Yeah, I don't think the Byzantine peasants actually survived. I don't know because they didn't fully conquer. I guess
The
they
thing
they
is,
did win the war and became the Byzantine Empire, but like under peasants. I don't know the logistics
that's
of
what I
it
was gonna say.
specifically,
Yeah,
but
we know that if you win a civil war, no matter which side, you just become the tag. You're not. Yes, sadly, you can't stay calling yourself the Byzantine Peasant Empire. Although I wish you could.
Yeah.
all right, she's making threats of violence against me. I'm gonna end the stream here. So thank you all for watching, and I hope to see you next time. It's good to be back. Bye.
I'll pray for your safety. Don't
Thank you. Someone needs to pray for me. Oh my god.
Be
Bye.
sure to remember hyperlink blocked.